Hello students, this is Rajan Ghai, company secretary and your economics teacher. Today I have come up with a new video in which I'll tell you about money and banking, your next chapter. So let me brief first what we gonna cover in this chapter. First we start with the money, then we will be completing its functions, demand of money, supply of money, and what are the different measures. This is very much important question. Then we cover some of the few terms, technical terms, which normally we used in banking system as well as money, high powered money, fiat money, legal tenders. So without wasting our time, let us start with chapter money. So anything which is commonly accepted as a medium of exchange is called money. Before the starting of money, we usually do our system or exchange with barter. Barter means we exchange one good with another, but that was totally improper. Reason being is that how could you evaluate the value of one product with the measurement of other product? It won't be possible. So that's why that is barter system is totally repealed by monetary system. So now we are exchanging any goods or services with the use of money, means money as a medium of consideration. Let's start with functions of money. There are different functions of money. First one is money act as a medium of exchange, because it is totally difficult in barter exchange to because of high cost, people would have to incur looking for suitable persons to exchange their surpluses. So that's why it won't be possible in barter exchange to exchange the goods and services with the exchange of goods and services. So that's why money comes. So second functions is money act as a convenient unit of account. Convenient unit of account means we can easily express the value of all goods or services in monetary units. It is called unit of account, convenient unit of account. We can understand this by studying this example. Let's say if a price of a pencil or pen is rupees 2 or rupees 10, and if we calculate the relative price of pen with respect to money, how could we able to calculate? Let's see. A rupee is worth 1 by 2, means once you purchase one pencil is of rupees 2, you can say the value of your 1 unit of money equal to 0.5, means 1 by the value of your pencil. The amount which you incur to purchase that pencils, once you divide it by 1, it comes the value of money. So you can easily calculate the relative price. Thus, if price of all commodities increase in terms of money, there is general increase in price level. Means what does it trying to say? He's saying that if the prices of the goods and services goes up, automatically you can say the price of your money, the value of your money goes down, which is called deterioration of the purchasing power of money. I hope you understood. Next we move to third function, which is called as a store of value for individuals. So money act as a store of value for individuals. It means you can easily store the money. Reason being is that because to store other goods like rice, pulses, it is quite tough because it will take so much space. So money easily you can store. And second thing is the value of money must be sufficiently stable to perform this function well. Means you have to assume that the value of money would be same, means stability of money is there. Next is demand for money and supply of money. Let's understand what do you call demand. Demand called anything or the total quantity of money which is demanded by the economy or total economy. It is called demand for money. Now it means your demand depends on the transactions. If value of transactions are higher, you can say the money demands is higher. means if your wishes are higher, automatically you demand more money. And one thing more, that your demand for money, that is totally reciprocal to rate of interest. If higher interest rates are there, automatically your money demanded comes down, because people don't want to hold money with itself, or rather they want to deposit the money into banks. Next thing is supply of money. So supply of money, we know that money supply refers to total quantity of money in circulation in the economy at a given point of time. Now the same concept is here, given point of time. Given point of time means it is a stock concept, given point of time. So money supply refers to total quantity of money in circulation in the economy at a given point of time. Next, what kind of measures, what we include in the supply of money? Let's see. These are the inclusions of supply of money, which you can say legal definitions. Once we called supply of money, there are RBI has given number of measures by which you can say that your total supply of money is this, like M1, M2, M3 and M4. M1 is called measures 1, M2 is called measures 2, M3 is called measures 3, and so on M4. Okay, so once we say M1, it has two components. First one is CU plus DD. CU means currency. So currency with public and demand deposits in commercial banks. What do you mean by CU plus DD? Let me explain you. Currency held by public means money supply consists of currency notes and coins held by public outside the bank. The Reserve Bank of India is the only institution which can issue currency in India. So coins are issued by the Government of India. Others currency are issued by RBI. Let me clarify you again that coins are issued by Government of India and other currency notes are issued by RBI. Once I explain this, you can see the currency issued by central bank can be held by public or by commercial banks. Also is called high powered money. High powered money means why? Because it acts as a basis for credit creation. High powered means high powered money. It is also called reserve money, monetary base, which act as a basis for credit creation. Currency notes and coins are called legal tenders, as they cannot be refused by any citizen of the country for settlement of any transactions. Because once you are going to do any kind of business transactions or whatever, if you are purchasing any product for your domestic use, nobody can refuse you. Once you are paying any payment in coins, in cash, or sorry, in currency, nobody will refuse you. Reason being is that because RBI has guided or given instructions that nobody cannot be refused by any citizen of the country for settlement of any transaction. That's why those are called legal tenders. So M1, it is equal to CU plus DD, means currency plus demand deposits. Now next is currency notes and coins are also called fiat money, because every currency notes bear on its face a promise from the governor of RBI that if someone produces the note to RBI or any other commercial bank, RBI will be responsible for giving the person's purchasing power equal to the value printed on the note. So same is also true for coins. It means that the value which is mentioned on that notes, means currency, as well as on coins, the same value, means you can say the value of that note, that is means the paper which we use to just make those notes, that is totally negligible, but the value which is mentioned on that currency, that is equal to that purchasing power. So that's why we can say M1 is equal to CU plus DD. Next, Demand deposits, DD. DD is called net demand deposit. This is important one. Net demand deposit means the deposits are the which can be withdrawn or demanded by depositors from bank, means current account as well as saving account. Only those deposit would be added, means we totally exclude interbank deposits. Interbank deposit means only that deposits which is held by public, those are called demand deposits in with commercial banks. If any kind of net word is used, because the interbank deposit which is commercial bank holds in other commercial banks are not to be recorded as part of money supply. Let's say there are two banks, one is ICICI Bank and one is HDFC Bank. ICICI Bank total deposit, let's say on one day rupees 10,000. Out of that 10,000, 5,000 is of HDFC Bank. So that 5,000, that is deposit made by HDFC Bank into ICICI Bank. That would not be part of your total money supply on that date. Okay. So M1 equal to CU plus DD. Next is M2. This is called measures 2. It also includes in money supply. It is equal to your first measures what you have added means CU plus DD plus saving deposit with post office saving banks. Because it doesn't mean that only one bank is there. There are a number of post offices. So that's why post offices total deposit, saving deposit is also includes in that money supply. M3 is called measures 3, which is equal to first your M1 plus net time deposits. Now net time deposit is called your fixed deposits. Time deposit means fixed deposits of commercial banks. M4 is last. M3 plus total deposit with post office saving organizations excluding national saving certificates. M4 is called measures 4, which is equal to M3, means measures 3 what we have counted, what we made total in that last means M3. Once you add total deposit with post office saving organizations excluding national saving certificate. National saving certificate is called NSC. Bonds issued by post offices, those are called NSC, where interest is totally taxable. Basically it is used by the mostly the public or you can say government employees. They purchase those bonds to take benefit of that tax rebate. Where currency notes plus coins held by public and DD is net demand of all the commercial banks. Once you make total of all M4, it becomes your total money supply. Now why that M1, M2, M3, M4 and what's the meaning of that? Let's understand. These measures are in decreasing order of liquidity. Means M1 is the most liquid. Most liquid is called because currency always in notes and coins and demand deposit you can easily convert into cash demand deposits. Once you ask to bank by just issuing a check that I want this money, bank has to give you that money back. So these measures are in decreasing order of liquidity. M1 is most liquid and easiest for transactions, where M4 is least liquid. M4 is least liquid because here you can say that net time deposits are there. Time deposit is called fixed deposits. So it is not easy to make it convert in cash. But still you can convert, but it is not easy. So M1 is called most liquid. So it is also known as aggregate monetary resources. So this is all about your money supply. In next video I'll cover your credit creation. Still, if you have any queries regarding this, your first topic means money and banking, first introduction and supply of money, you can ask your queries. So thank you, thanks a lot.